right on the track he's always been on. No setbacks, and I mean, it's been very good so far.
All right, that was Kyle Shanahan talking about Brock Purdy, who's throwing on the side, apparently either on schedule or ahead of schedule. Our next guest, Hall of Famer, Warren Moon, great quarterback in his day. And Warren, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. How you doing today?
We're doing well. When it comes to the 49ers quarterback position right now, it looks like Brock Purdy's the number one. If he can get ready by week one, they have Trey Lance, and they just brought in Sam Darnold. When you look at the 49ers, how do you view the quarterback position? Position of strength or weakness?
Well, it can be a strength, but I think whenever you have three quarterbacks and you don't know who your starter is going to be week one, you don't have a quarterback. So I think there's a lot of questions surrounding the 49ers at that quarterback spot. And, you know, Brock Purdy being the biggest question right now because of that injury, and you don't want to have an injury to your throwing arm if you're a quarterback, and that's what he has right now. So we don't know when he will be ready for the season, how much practice he'll get beforehand, if he gets any preseason games to get ready for the season. Trey Lance is still a guy who's unproven. You know, he only has, I think, 4 or 5 starts in his career. And then Sam Darnold is a guy who started in this league. I think he has over 30 starts, but hasn't had a whole lot of success. So there's a lot of questions at that position, and that's a very vital position in the NFL today.
Warren, like you, I got a family, I got a wife, kids, and, I need to put the phone down. I'm just on social media a little too much, and sometimes it gets to me. And I say that to say is, my partner and I were just talking about the tradition and the history of quarterbacks that get drafted where Trey Lance got drafted. And I got to tell you, Warren, Brock Purdy was incredible. Nobody saw Lance getting hurt, and he comes in. But I keep reading all these tea leaves and these stories and these prominent announcers talking about, Trey could get traded. They should trade Trey. And, Warren, I'm a black man. I told my partner, and I wasn't ashamed of it, the other day I felt like there was a race element in the sense that how can you move mountains like the Niners did and be so quick to get off of Trey Lance? Now, they didn't say that. They haven't done that, the organization. But the stuff that I was reading from fans and the stuff that I hear every day on our show, the energy was just a bit different. But can you speak to, you saw what the Niners did to get Trey Lance. Wouldn't it be too soon to not find out what Trey Lance is going to be? And don't you owe that to the organization? And before you answer, my partner was like, you know what? Maybe he ain't doing it in practice. I'm like, I don't care if he's not. We have to see it, the public, on the field, right?
Well, that's just the culture we live in today. It's called a recency bias. And who's ever doing the best job for you right now in your face, that's who everybody wants to go with. And he was the flavor of the week, Trey Lance, when he first came out, and everybody was in love with him. And then he gets hurt, and you start forgetting about him. And then Brock Purdy comes on the scene and takes off and does very well right off the bat. And now all of a sudden, who is Trey Lance? Because this is the most recent guy giving us success. We don't need Trey Lance anymore because we have a guy. So that's kind of how the way things go in our society today, and that's just something you have to get used to. I think if you look at it every week in the NBA, there's a best player in the world, whoever has the biggest game that week. Mm-hmm. So that's just the way sports are analyzed. But I think organizations look at it a little bit differently. I think they, like you said, they moved heaven and earth to get Trey Lance with all the draft picks and things that they gave up. And I don't think they want to give up on him this quickly. And I also think they see his potential in practice, even though he hasn't gotten to the stage where they think he can be the penciled-in starter. So he's still got time. This is a young man. I think he's only, 23, 24 years old. He's got a lot of years left ahead of him. So we'll just have to wait and see how that whole thing plays out. But, yeah, you can't go by what social media says or what the public says or what even the media says. You got to go by what the organization is talking about and how they view Trey Lance and what they think about him as the future quarterback for the 49ers.
Warren Moon joining us on 95.7 The Game, Hall of Fame quarterback. Do you make anything of the 49ers bringing Sam Darnold in?
Well, I think they have to just look at depth. They have to look at experience. Say if Brock Purdy isn't ready to start the season, they're going into the season with Trey Lance, who doesn't have a lot of starts or experience, and then I don't know who the fourth guy would be. So yeah, I think they would bring in a Sam Darnold because they're bringing in somebody that they probably liked when he came out in the draft, didn't get to have a chance to draft him, but they've liked what they've seen over the years and feel like he fits into what they do best offensively, and he brings them some experience. So it makes a lot of sense that they brought him in. If they didn't bring somebody in, then everybody would be saying, well, what happens if Trey Lance gets hurt again and Brock Purdy's not available? So you have to bring in an experienced guy just to cover yourself for all the other things that might go wrong.
Warren, I got a lot of fans because they listen to the show, and my partner knows you're my favorite quarterback of all time. I say that at every turn, the way you spin the ball and all that you accomplish. But I got to ask you this. Last year's Super Bowl was the Chiefs and Eagles, first time two black quarterbacks, started the Super Bowl. We know you had to start your journey in the CFL. When you look at college, and I know not so much with the black head coaches in the NFL and ownership, that's a different story, but are you proud at what you see now with so many black quarterbacks in the NFL?
I really am, and I know I played a small part in that with the success that I had in the league because I think it opened up the eyes of owners and general managers and coaches that we could play this game at a high level. And, with Doug Williams winning a Super Bowl, I think in '88, and Randall Cunningham, the way he played when I was playing in the '80s and early '90s, and also myself, it showed by our play that, hey, these guys can play the game at a high level. And you started to see more guys get drafted higher in the draft, and they went on to becoming number one overall picks. And now you see what the game has evolved into. So, yeah, I'm very proud to see what happened in Super Bowl Sunday. I was a little disappointed that it took that long for it to happen, but it did happen. And the more power to these guys because they're being paid well. They're being some of the highest paid players in the league. They're being highly endorsed, and they're using their voices for doing a lot of positive things like social justice and things like that. So I'm very proud of the way these guys are carrying themselves and the way they're playing on the field.
Warren Moon joining us on 95.7 The Game. Warren, and I don't know if this will have a racial component to it, but I'm looking at Geno Smith more like in this day and age. We've got Trey Lance down here, and now he's 2-3 years in, and it's decision time. Can he play in the NFL or can't he play in the NFL? How do you explain Geno Smith? 2 years into the league, everybody probably thought the guy can't play, hung around, and now he's the quarterback who he is. Is he a rule? Is he an exception? How do you explain that?
I think he's a guy that just stayed at it, and I think everybody always appreciated and identified his physical talent. When he came out, as a second rounder out, I think West Virginia, everybody knew that he could play the game, but I think he was a little immature when he came into the league. He got into some scuffles with some teammates with the Jets when he came in and rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Some guys just aren't that mature when they come into the National Football League. Some guys are more mature than others. But I think from him playing behind a Eli Manning with the Giants, playing behind a Phillip Rivers with San Diego, playing behind Russell Wilson, for 3 years here in Seattle, he got a chance to see what it takes to be a professional and what you have to do in order to prepare and how you handle yourself. And I think over that period of time to go along with his physical talent, it all came together. And I think Pete Carroll saw that, and that's why he made him his starter last year, and Geno delivered. So I think a lot of it has to go to Geno for not giving up and not getting down on himself, but just keep staying at the process and then learning from the guys that he was playing behind. And I think that's why he's having success today.
Hey, Warren, we're here in the Golden State Warrior country, and Steph Curry. Some say revolutionize the game. I say that, but when I watch him, Warren, and I watch him shoot, I'm like, you know what? That's different. And that takes me back to Patty Mahomes, who played the Super Bowl on a bum ankle, won the Super Bowl. But, Pat, do you think we take him for granted, just how good Patrick Mahomes is?
Yeah, I think we really do. They're always trying to compare or put somebody ahead of him, but there's nobody better than him in the game right now, and he continually proves it each and every year. what has he been to 5 straight AFC Championship games? He's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 Super Bowls. This is all within his first 5-6 years in the league. So he's not even hit his prime yet, and he's done all of these different things. The guy's just always does something in a game that amazes me as far as how he's able to get a ball off, how he's able to see a receiver, the platforms that he can throw the football from with accuracy and velocity on the football. So he's the best quarterback in the league right now. We do tend to take people for granted because they are the best, and we're always looking for somebody to knock them off. That's kind of the way this society works.
Seattle got something cooking up there, Warren?
Uh-oh.
Beg your pardon?
The Seattle Seahawks, they got something cooking up there?
They really do. I'm really impressed with what they've been able to do this offseason. You know, they brought back Bobby Wagner, who was a mainstay here. He's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. They brought back Jaron Reed, another guy they had success with on their defense. They brought in a kid, Mario Edwards. So I think they boosted up their defense, which is what they needed to do, because that offense, the way they played last year, they were an offense that could have went deep into the playoffs. And now they bring in the kid from Ohio State, Jackson Smith, Naingma, I think that's the way you pronounce it, and that just gives them another weapon to go with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So this is a really, really good football team. Kenneth Walker came on late last year, and he's going to be a mainstay as their bell cow running back. So this is going to be a really good Seahawks football team in this division. And the thing that gives them the edge over everybody right now is they have stability at the quarterback position. They're bringing back an all-pro quarterback where nobody else in the division can say that at that position right now.
Warren, my late mother, she loved mystery movies and novels. That was her thing, mystery. So I got to ask this before you get off. The Denver Broncos gave Russell Wilson, who I thought was in the fast lane to the Hall of Fame, $245 million. He was the former quarterback. You saw him every game. Can I ask you, Warren, what has happened? What is going on with Russell Wilson? Because we don't know.
Well, I think he tried to be something last year that he wasn't, more of a pocket passer. And what has made Russell special over the 10, 11 years of his career was his ability to get outside the pocket and make things happen, and then play action passes, throwing the ball down the field. I think he wanted to be more of a Drew Brees type of passer, and I think that's what they tried to incorporate into the offense in Denver, and that's just not his strength. One, because of his size. You have to have some size in order to see the whole field if you're going to be in the pocket. And Russell's only about 5'10", and he had a lot of trouble sometimes seeing in the middle of the football field. So I think they're going to get back to what he does best. I think you'll see Sean Payton do that, getting more out on the edge, getting more out on the move, a lot more play action, and he'll make sure that the middle part of the pocket is a little bit more stable for him as far as the guard and center position. So he'll have that vision when he does have to throw in the middle of the field. And I think Russell will get back to being who Russell Wilson was. I think it was a down year for him. He has a tremendous amount of pride. He's a hard worker, and I think he'll be much better this year than he was last year.
Warren Moon, thank you so much for joining us as always. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys, no problem. Have a great day now.
All righty, Warren Moon, Hall of Famer.